Welcome, everybody, to our BNI Talks webinar. My name is Steve Tenuzo, your host, and today I've got David Kaufman. He is a managing director, but he also has this role within the BNI Foundation, which I'm going to let him talk about in just a second. This is a webinar I've been looking forward to for a while. I've been trying to get chapters more involved in business voices, which you're going to learn about today. If you've never heard about it, don't worry, you're going to get the full all the details on that. So I'm going to turn it over to David to give a quick intro and then talk about BNI Foundation and Business Voices.
Great, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. So yeah, my name is David Kaufman. I am a member of my chapter. I'm in my 23rd year with the BNI Mainline 1 chapter, and I am managing director for BNI DVR, Delaware Valley Region. And about 18 years ago, I was at my first US conference, and I was walking past the booths, and this hand grabbed my arm, and I turned around, and it was Beth Meisner. And she said to me, what are your thoughts about children in the world? And I said, well, what was I going to say? I said, I think they're very important. I have 4 of my own, and I think that I love my kids. And now I can say I love my grandkids. And I said, I do everything I can do to support them. I work with a local school. And she said, wonderful, come over here. And she grabbed me and put me behind the booth. And that was my introduction to the BNI Foundation. She talked me into being at that point, it was called a monthly hero, where I donated $50 a month. And I've been involved with the foundation ever since. In about 2000, I think 16, I get a phone call from Elizabeth and Ivan Meisner, and they said, we're going to have a change in the foundation, and we would like you to either be the chairman or vice chairman, and this gentleman named Kevin, he's going to take the other position. What are your thoughts? And I'm like, I don't know who he is. You don't know Kevin Block? I'm like, no, never met him. All the conferences, I'm sorry, I never met him. So she gave us the phone numbers, and she said, you guys take all the time you need, but I need an answer by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And so we jumped on a call in the middle of the night for him, because he's 5 hours ahead of me in Germany. We spoke for 2 or 3 hours, and we decided we were going to do it. And that's when I really became heavily involved in the operations of the foundation. And I just love it. And so let's get right into it. That's my little background. Great. So if you haven't heard, we are in our 25th year, and our actual anniversary, how crazy is this, is May 4th. Yes, May the 4th be with you.
Oh, there you go, Star Wars Day.
Yeah, so that was the actual date that we launched our first formal foundation. It was called the Meisner Foundation back then. Meisner Charitable Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Dr. Meisner and Elizabeth decided they really wanted their own foundation, we switched the name to the BNI Foundation. And the interesting thing was, when we first started, children were not our focus. And what we quickly learned was everyone in the country, everyone in the world has a favorite charity. Everyone has something they love. And so we had to decide, what could we do? What could we support that meant a lot to the future of the world and would not be an issue with BNI? And that's how we narrowed it down to children and education. Because people can get annoyed if you want to support animals, or you want to support this, or you support. I have yet to come across someone when I say, all we do is help children and support them in their education, and they're not right 100% behind us. And so now, if this works correctly, we're going to go right into a quick video.
This world is full of opportunities to connect, learn, achieve, share. The business community does all of this for ourselves, for our children. Ambitious, full of potential, fearless and brave. Safe in the knowledge that they are supported, valued. We're lucky. For some, this world is full of boundaries, because ambition without opportunity and potential without freedom mean absolutely nothing. It's brave. us inspire the generation of tomorrow.
So this is one of my favorite videos that we did a couple years ago, but I still love to show it because I think it's a really good video to explain why we do what we do. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm going to do a quick kind of overview of what the foundation is, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the projects we've done over the past 25 years. We're going to talk about how to get involved in your local community, the VCP of it. Then we're going to move into something called Future Leaders Week, and then we'll wrap it up and take some questions. So first of all, the foundation has been around, as I said, for 25 years, and we now sort of have what we call the three pillars. We have the Meisner Endowment, which was Elizabeth's dream to have a permanent endowment that would every year put out money that we could use for grants and bigger projects. And her dream was to have $1 million endowment. We launched the endowment in 2019, and we have just crossed $700,000 in the endowment. So once we hit $1 million, we'll start using that interest to fund grants and projects around the world. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our website, bnifoundation.org, and you can get lots more information on that. Then we have the Givers Gains grants. This is the what we call the micro grants. So, throughout the year we raise money. It's not our primary focus. Money is not our primary focus. Giving back to the community, getting involved in your local community is our primary focus. But we do grants, we do fund grants. And so we do raise money at our conferences, and people make donations for different reasons throughout the year. And we have two grant cycles. They're $1,000 mini grants, one in the spring and one in the fall. And again, if you want more information about that, you can go to bnifoundation.org and look up the grants and the cycles. And if you have a teacher, if you have an after-school program or someone else that supports children education, feel free to apply for them. We do put it out in SuccessNet when we open the grant cycle. And then the last but not least is my favorite part of the foundation, which is Business Voices. Business Voices is you. It's our members. It's us as BNI members getting involved in the local community and solving problems. We are the boots on the ground, the people that can identify issues that children are having and solve them. And that's what we're really going to concentrate on today. So again, it's 1998 is when we started. And so just to touch on a little bit of projects. So we have helped to build schools. We have helped us to build schools. The building blocks is one of our biggest projects. Learning centers, we did a presentation of a mini grant. They applied for $1,000 to build a complete school in Kashmir. And I said, you can build a school for $1,000? And they said, no, it would be $1,300. We can build a complete school out of brick with a roof and have a safe outhouse facility with some water, all for $1,300. So I'm like, we're all in. Wow. And so we did that learning center. They sent us pictures and videos of the kids in school. The first class that went through there was 85 girls. So that project is all about girls in that village. The parents can't afford to send all their kids to school. And so what they tend to do is send the male children. And so the young girls don't always get the proper education. So they built a center, and so it can be used for the school for the girls that do get to go to school. They can come and get help after school. And for those who can't go to school, they can go to the learning center and they can still learn and advance and get an education. I can't tell you how many thousands of backpacks that I have purchased and sent. Already this summer, I have sent out over 3,000 backpacks filled with school supplies to different charities around the country so far. And we have sent 2 Givers Gains grants to other organizations that are going to be doing backpack drives during the middle of the year. So we do a lot of backpack drives. We've done a couple of backpack drives where we send the backpacks, and the local BNI chapters will supply the schools with non-perishables, because a lot of these schools have kids that rely on school lunches for their nutritious meal of the day, but come the weekends, they have issues getting the correct food, getting nutritious food. So they bring these backpacks on Fridays back to the schools where different chapters have supplied money and food. They fill the backpacks so that these kids have healthy lunches over the weekends too. We've made sure that the Givers Grants have gone out religiously year after year. And I've been involved in over 200 Givers Grants since I started 18 years ago. We support some larger projects. New Life Beginnings was a project where it's a 94-unit apartment building that was just in horrible shape. And in this community, if the facility takes money from the government, the state has a rule that if you're a mother and you have more than 2 children, you have to turn over those children to child services until you can get out of this project. So if you have 5 children, and this is a true story from a mother I spoke to, so she said, I took my oldest child and my 2 youngest children, because the 2 youngest children won't really know what's going on. My oldest child I can explain it to, and the 2 in the middle I kept with me until I could get a job and get out of there. So can you imagine having to decide which children you take with you and which children you give away? So
That's terrible.
it is horrible. So we had BNI members out in California who were electricians and plumbers and roofers, helped us rebuild the building. We had BNI Las Vegas who raised over $10,000 that we could donate. So we actually bought all the bunk beds and sheets and desks for all the rooms. And so that was about 18 months ago, and all 94 rooms are filled to capacity right now. So in this facility, as long as you are working towards a job and your children are going to school, you can stay as long as you want with as many kids as you want. We did Friends of Thai Daughters, where we helped build a school and a boarding facility for young ladies in Thailand that get sold off into trafficking. We helped this nonprofit get them back and then get them an education. And the Monarch School we supported, that was a school that works to bring kids off the street. So as long as you attend school, they have a store there. And for every day you attend, you get their equivalent of money, where you can buy clothing and toiletries, and they have showers there. And so those are just some of the projects that we have supported. So getting back to why do I think this is so important? One of the things Elizabeth said to me was that children are 20% of the world's population, but they are 100% of our future. And she said that all those years ago, and it's still correct today. And these children are going to be our employees. They're going to be our employers. They're going to solve the problems that our generation created, or problems that our generation didn't create but were unable to fix. They are our future. And that's why helping children get a better education is so important. And so you, the members, together with the foundation and your local community, really do equal regional growth. And we're going to talk about that next. So we've all heard the term VCP, right? If I asked you about VCP and BNI, you'd all be able to tell me visibility, credibility equals profitability. No doubt, everyone, you could do that. So the BNI Foundation is a big piece of VCP in your local community. So getting involved in your local community, letting the community know your chapters exist and that you're out there and that you're working to share clients and share business versus competing with each other, and knowing that you're there to support the children in the community is wonderful visibility. This gives you the credibility and exposure so that people who don't know about BNI now get to know about BNI. We get to tell them about it. And this gives your chapters the potential to bring in new members and new business. And I'll give you another quick example. So my chapter decided we were going to have a 5K run, 1 mile walk. And so we did that this June, and we already have the next one scheduled. And we decided we were going to open up to the public. And so we had a lot of sponsors. We had some Little Miss Moffat brought cookies to give out to everyone. We had people that had donated water and Gatorade, and we altogether raised about $4,000. And we had about 55, 60 people there. And about 20 to 25 of these were business owners from the community. People that from the running clubs, the local running clubs, people that had stores in the local community, that now we got to do a presentation about BNI, and along with the BNI Foundation, how we're helping the community. And we've actually picked up a lot of interest, and we actually picked up a few new members out of it. So getting involved in your community really does help your region grow. So when we talk about what to do and how to do it. You have to think that children or a child in need is kind of like a highway. There's many lanes. If you think about wherever you live, there's lots of highways. And some are big and they're 6 and 10 lanes, and some are tiny and they're 2 lanes, and they're all different speeds and things like that. So every highway that you travel on is slightly different. So is every child, right? Every child is like a lane on a highway. They all have different issues and different problems. And if you think about who these children are, they're in every community. Every community has children in need. And I don't care whether you are in a community that is in need of money and basic kind of good school supplies, or if you're in a very wealthy community with very good schools. They all have needs. The difference is, what are those needs? So if you think about some areas, it is food. You go to wealthy areas and they are just clamoring for mentoring. These are children that have most of their needs met, but they don't have mentoring from real people in the community. Contractors, business people, lawyers. They can go to fancy schools. It doesn't mean they're getting to have the conversations with real local business people about real issues that they're facing. And so when you go out and you start a project, you have to ask. And maybe another quick video if this one works. This one does not have sound. And no, it's grape juice. It's not real wine. It was just to prove a point, right? So when you talk about projects and business voices, you have to ask and see what they need. You can't just assume you know what they want, right? So when we solve these issues, we get productive citizens, we get our future clients, our future employees, we get better education in the local community, a better pipeline of business people coming out, and like I said, the VCP that's so important that we all need. So starting a Business Voices project is very simple. A Business Voices team can be 1 or 2 people from a chapter. It can be an entire chapter. It can be a couple people from chapters here or there. There's no set terms. And I have Business Voices projects that's just a single member in a single chapter that has something that they want to support. It can be working with schools. It can be working with the Boys and Girls Clubs. We are very heavily involved with Boys and Girls Clubs. Locally here in New Jersey, we have 3 of the clubs that we support all year long. We support Horizon House Homeless Shelter. They're a tri-state area in the Philadelphia region. They have about 300 elementary school kids in the local shelters at any one time. And these children need clothing, they need school supplies, they need mentoring. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal school with a formal project, right? So you need to find what the project you want to support in your local community and then ask. We did one in New Orleans with Tim Poland years and years ago. And we thought when we went to the school, they were going to ask for money. And we had an in with the educator in the elementary school, and we went there and we sort of said, hey, here's what we're going to do. And he says, well, that's not what we need. And we're like, what do you mean? He says, what we really need is shoes, because in the bad weather, our attendance is horrible. And so we could gently used shoes, new shoes from kindergarten through 6th grades, any shoes. And we actually got the members to donate over 400 pairs of shoes. And so that was a learning lesson for me, because at that point I thought, well, schools want money, and that wasn't what they wanted. When I went to Horizon House Homeless Shelter, again, my misconception in the beginning is I know what they need. What they really needed was socks and underwear, because they can't take donations of used socks and underwear. They have to be new in the package. And so for that project, we went to, I'm not sure if you guys have Kohl's department stores where you live, but we went to our members and we said, who's got the Kohl's money, right? Because you go there and you shop and they give you this money, but you've already bought what you need and you're not going to go back next week and use the money. So we got together and everyone donated their Kohl's money, and we went out to the local Kohl's and we bought underwear and socks with it. So it didn't cost us anything but our time. And we were able to give them hundreds of pairs of underwear and socks. So that was really needed. When the pandemic started, we had a lot of schools that needed computers. And we went to our members and said, who has an old tablet? Doesn't matter how old it is, as long as it works. And we actually, in my local community, we got about 49 tablets and laptops. And one of our local BNI members wiped them all clean and put software on them. And so we solved that need. So there's just a wide variety. And so once you develop your team, please go to bnifoundation.org and register your team so we can support you and help you. And then tell us what you're doing so we can give you the recognition, the visibility that we can give through social media and up on our website. And we'd love to develop relationships with you and your chapters to help build Business Voices teams around the country. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, because I'm going to run out of time, is Future Leaders Week. This year is October 15th to the 21st. And what this is us mentoring as many children as we can. What I found was that children really appreciate talking to real business people. They get talked to by teachers and they get talked to by guidance counselors. It's very rare when they talk to someone who's doing a profession where we can go in there and say, this is what we did. This is how I came up with it. This is what I wish I had known when I picked my career. This is the education I took to get there. And so it's very simple. If you go to our website, again, click on the Business Voices Future Leaders, register. I will send you a packet. It's a zip drive with everything you need to know. How does it work? Once we register, you find who you're going to mentor. It could be, again, after school program. It could be homeless shelters with teenage kids. It could be schools. Anything works. If you can hold your meeting in the school, that's great. If you can't, that's great too. I'm going to Camden High School, and all they asked me to do is to bring as many contractors as they can. They asked me to bring contractors to talk about you don't have to go to college. You can go to trade school and still become very wealthy. And so that's what we're doing in this group. So then the question is, does it work? Yes, it works. Last year, we had 204 chapters in 12 countries register. We had 64 chapters participate in 10 countries. We had over 700 members, and we mentored over 6,500 children in those 10 countries. And some countries, like India, they want it to happen every month, and they've been doing it every month. We really want to concentrate. If the week of the 15th doesn't work for you, it can be a week earlier, a week later. If October is not great, okay, the first week in November works. We want to be flexible and make sure it works for you. Again, go on and register. We'll give you all the information, conduct your event, send us your success stories. We'll give you the recognition you deserve. The goal of this presentation was we want you to get involved. Our ask is that you get the word out in your local community, starting with your chapters, that we exist, and that our goal is not to hit you up for money. Our goal is to get involved in the local community and solve the problems that children are having. So what my ask for you today is, yes, get involved, but we need you to spread the word. And so to kind of wrap up, because I think I'm coming to the end of my time, is that correct, Steve?
You've got some time, but go ahead.
Okay. So when we talk about this, oftentimes we talk about, the fact that there's so many children out there. So real quickly in the chat, I want to ask you a question. If you have ever helped a child in need in any way, shape, or form, please just type the word yes into the chat bar for me. Look at all those yeses. That's fantastic. So guess what I want to tell all of you? You have already done a Business Voices project. That's how simple it is. So I want you to think about not who's in your story, but I want you to think about whose story can you be in? I want you to think about what you can do in your community, how much exposure you and your chapter can get. And it's not hard, and it doesn't take a lot of your time. All it takes is you saying, yes, I'm going to spread the word that BNI and the BNI Foundation exists. I'm going to find somebody to support. I'm going to find out what their needs. I'm going to go make that happen because you guys are the best at this, right? You are networkers. You guys can solve any problem that comes up. I have total confidence in that. And then I want you to go back to the bnifoundation.org website and put in your submission and tell us what you're doing, because we know there's so much activity going on around the world. You're just not telling us about it, which makes it a lot harder for us to come out and say to the world, not only are we changing the way the world does business, but we're changing the way business sees children in the world, and here's how we're doing it.
Right.
Right. So that's my presentation for today. Let's see if we have any questions or comments.
Yeah, first off, I think it's amazing that, what I love about these in-chapter projects that are happening, that sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve because they're kind of done very quietly when we do a food drive or something like that. Using it under this Business Voices umbrella really is going to give your chapter more exposure. I am happy to put these stories in SuccessNet and let it go out to the, pretty much the whole world as we send it out to 250,000 members to get it out there. But this is an opportunity for you to really bring your chapter together. I have seen this in action. I saw a backpack drive that we did here in Massachusetts a few years ago, where they put together 65 backpacks, and it was a fairly new chapter. And it was this event that got everybody to get to know each other because they were all working together, and then delivering them to the Boys and Girls Clubs and giving out, these, and the kids were just like so excited to get these amazing things. This is the one thing that I'd like to see more of in our chapters. Because I know there's already the spirit of givers gain. You're always giving, but let's kind of formalize it a little bit so that we can actually, make an impact and get the word out about your chapter as well. As you said, David, you have people who become members while you're involved in these projects, right?
So if you look at this slide here, the teacher with that art book, it had been 35 years since Bradford Elementary School gave money for new art books.
Wow.
When before the pandemic, she got $10 per child for the year for art supplies. After the pandemic, they cut it down to $3. So with our mini grant, she was able to buy new books for the kids, and you see the kids in the lower left corner with their supplies. The little girl with a down coat and a bag, this was the first time she ever had a new coat that was in a bag with a tag on it. I partnered with the local YMCA and some local auto dealers, and we donated 150 coats to the shelters. You can make a difference with the connections you have. You really can.
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone in the chat is kind of excited about this and wants to try something in their own chapter. And obviously going to bring it back to your chapter and talk to your leadership team to get it going. But I would love to see someone who's really excited about doing this. And Brian's right in there, so that's awesome. Because this is something that can really impact your chapter in such a positive way while you're impacting the lives of the children in your local community. And that's another thing that I love about this. You don't have to do something for someone in another country. You can do something for people in your own neighborhood.
That's another misconception. So like I have a region in Virginia that just raised some money, and I did this in Texas, and I did this in Vermont also. If your chapter has extra funds and you want to donate it to the foundation, that money goes back into your region. So if we collect money from a particular area of the United States, we gave grants to Texas, we gave grants to Virginia, we gave grants back to Vermont. So, and when you have extra money in your chapter kitty and you have a project you want to submit, you can donate that money to the foundation. And we call those directed grants, and we are happy to direct it back, as long as it's children in education, right back to your local community and get you the recognition for that also.
Right. Okay, jumping into Q&A, if someone said, could you go back to the screen before the grape juice video? Someone wanted to, I guess, grab a screenshot.
I'm sure I could. Oh.
Oh, there it is, yes. Okay. Fantastic. All right.
And Maggie, thank you very much. As an educational coordinator of your chapter, taking this back to your chapter is fabulous. That's an easy way to get started. And if you need PowerPoints, I have very simple PowerPoints. We have one-pagers that we can give you. We have toolkits on how to start things. So again, my email is just davidk@bnifoundation.org or just davidkaufman@bni.com. If you let me know what your needs, I'll be happy to get those materials to you.
Right. So we have a question. Jesse was asking about working with nonprofits and trying to get people involved, but follow-up is a problem. So, is there anything
Try to
that
get your
you,
last slide. Go ahead.
yeah, is there anything that you can do along the way in terms of helping chapters that's kind of like a little toolkit or roadmap or to kind of go through these things to kind of encourage them to do everything the right way? Is there any kind of schedule
So,
or
yeah,
checklist?
there's not really a schedule. So on each pillar of the foundation, we do have a one-pager. And we have a toolkit on how to start a Business Voices team in your
Oh,
chapter.
great.
So again, if you just shoot us an email or shoot me an email, I will be happy to send that over to you.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right. I think we are out of questions at this time. So, David, thanks so much for your time and your dedication to Business Voices. I think it's an amazing thing that we do in BNI. It's kind of something that's kind of off to the side, but it's really such a powerful thing that we have. And I'm really proud of the work and what you were showing of all the grants that went out, all these things. So, an opportunity to take advantage of it for sure.
And I'll leave you with one final thought, right? We are in 78 countries. Last I looked, we have over 310,000 members. How many companies in the world could make such an impact in the world if every chapter got involved in the local community and did a Business Voices project?
Right. Would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Oh, it starts right here. So those of you who are inspired today, please take it back to your chapters, get in touch with David for any kind of help and support. The website for them to register their chapter is
just bnifoundation.org. And right at the top, you'll see Business Voices. And then there's two tabs. One is for Future Leaders Week, and one is just to register your Business Voices team.
Great. Fantastic. Super easy. All right. Join us next week. We've got Tori Moreno. He is an amazing website guy. He's actually been on the webinar before. And we are talking about Google Analytics to improve your website performance. So stay tuned for that one. We'll see you next week. Give yourselves a CEU for this week for being on today. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.